What is tech debt?
Everything I write. No, so like tech debt, I think I have like this very strong opinion that anything you write, anything that hits production is immediately tech debt. But what is the actual like what other people think of as tech debt? It's choosing to take a shortcut, right? So it's like you want to get something out the door now. So if you want to if you want to limit users to how big of a file you can upload, sure, we could do that. We can limit the how big of the file is to upload. But then that means if we want to upload bigger files later, we're going to have to come back and we're going to have to reinvent our system to be able to handle the increased throughput or the increased load. So you're taking a shortcut now for the sake of potential future work later for scale or improving the service in some form. So I say it's everything I write because the moment I write it, it's tech debt. I don't, whatever. I want to rewrite it now because it's not good.
Interesting. So I've always thought of tech debt, like if we were to, I'll put up the little picture here of the project manager's triangle. And so you got your time, your cost, and your quality, right? And so one thing you're always fighting is when you're developing something, obviously you want to get it done fast. You want a high quality and you don't want it to cost a lot. So a lot of times what happens is you've got a deadline and you say, I have to have X done by this day. And what happens every time is features start to peel off and fall off to the side. And then you have to measure, like, especially as you get more senior, you go, okay, what can I do to get this out there and things I can circle back to? Now, there's a good chance that, let's be honest, you're never going to circle back to them once you build them. But you want to try to get as much in as you can that first time. And so what ends up happening is those little things that you cast off and you say, oh, sure would be nice if we had an extra loading screen for this. Because that's what they had in the mock-up. So you go, gosh, that's going to be a little bit of work. And then so you kick that to the side and you go, well, that's now, we'll put that in another sprint. We'll do something else with that. Or we'll make the button do a little extra something that's quicker and easier to program, but not quite what they had in mind. And for me, that's that tech debt. And it's hard because will you ever get back to it? I don't know. And what's the difference? Like there's also a little bit between that and gold plating too, where you go, oh, should I gold plate? Oh, I don't know. I'm sure you've never gold plated anything ever.
I'm going to ask you to define gold plating.
Gold plating is when you know that the requirements are done with something, but you go, boy, it would be nice if it did this little extra thing or that little extra thing. And so sometimes that happens when you have maybe a little extra time or you see something that you can optimize. But I think a lot of people also get stuck in gold plating where they go, oh man, people are going to like it if it does this and it does this and it does this. And they spend a whole bunch of time developing stuff that wasn't the original requirements too.
Yeah. I am probably going back to like the first interview that we did, I am more of an ops person. I am like ticket in, ticket out. So like someone asked me to make it easy for them to be able to log in, done. But then someone's like, hey, I want it even easier. And I'm like, okay, that's a new thing. Put it back in the pile. So I understand the gold plating. I do it whenever I have like personal projects, but I don't think of it as gold plating in my head when it's like my personal stuff because it's like, oh, this is making my life better. But for bigger requirement gathering type work, I give what they want. And then if they want more, I ask them to put it back into the work rotation. And I don't usually I have to dogfoot it myself to find those problem areas, but I'm trying usually not to think about like what if, because then we're getting into this theoretical space that like I don't know if the customer or client actually want that. So I'm not going to work on it. I can suggest it, but I'm not going to I'm not going to work on it right here and now.
I've also run into a lot of stuff that along the way you'll plan pieces of work and there's always a lot of hidden work or harder things as you come along. I mean, as you break your task down smaller, you start to uncover those. But as you get going and you have this task, you go, oh, this is going to take me 2 days. You get started, and by the end of first day, you go, oh crap, there's all this stuff in it. And at that point too, I find myself going, what are the most important pieces? What are going to get this out there? And I know we said we want the button to be blue and have a shadow and be all shiny, but let's just see if we can get it blue for now. And then I'll ask the product owner too, or whoever's making that decision, could we just go with a blue button? And then inevitably they go, oh yeah, we'll make it blue and shiny later. And then that becomes your tech debt, right?
Yeah, that is literally the definition of tech debt.